Okay, yeah. Like the slides already stated, Solarized Magento. The title was a bit different in the announcement and so on. It is, yeah. Normally, who of you have used the something else like the onboard MySQL search in Magento? Oh, more than one. Okay, good. So maybe the rest doesn't know anything about why you should use something else, and yeah, I think I can tell you a bit about it and in the next minutes. And yeah, first, something about me. I'm Nils Preuß. Right now I work at the Merchants. I'm the technical lead in our e-commerce department. I work for Polo Motorrad. We are a not motorcycle company, but we are selling motorcycle equipment, protective gear, tuning stuff, and so on in our own web shop in many brick and mortar stores. And we had severe issues with our search. That was the first thing we really had. So that's bringing us to our starting point. It was, we had 3 store views, one German, one English, and another German one for Switzerland because of different currencies. We had to use it in different websites, and the first store view, it's because of, I think, round about 80% of the traffic was in our German store. So we used a SaaS solution for the search, and in the other 2 store views, we didn't. We used the MySQL search. When I arrived there, I am there for roughly a year. We had severe issues with the stability of the shop, and nobody knows or knew then why. So the problem we had with the SaaS solution was that it is kind of costly. It's not only costing on a revenue, it's costing on a per search model and a base price. That was one thing, because we only used it for this one store view, because you had this base price, this high base price, because of many requests in this one store view. The base price went up for all store views. So it was too costly, because then we had a base price. The other 2 store views didn't even bring us revenue. So a big no-go for us. But it was fully tuned, because it was in use for, I think, 2 years or so. And everything was fine-tuned for the real searches our customers did and so on. And the results were tuned, sadly not the data. We experienced severe issues with more complex scenarios, like filtering searches and so on with complex layered navigation stuff. We had a bike model database for compatibility with motorcycle parts to different motorcycles in place, and you generated way too many queries to this SaaS solution to make it even work anymore. The 2 store views with the MySQL search, they're a bit slow. We talk about there were searches taking place for 80,000 seconds. Yeah, that's nearly 24 hours. That was one of the instability issues. And the search relevance is not so good with the MySQL full text search. If you search for red, or something, you will get results that are matching. You will get more results that are not matching, and you will get even more results you cannot see where you get them. That brings us to the thing we had to look for some alternatives. In there, we knew there are at least some alternatives. So first of all, well-known, well-established, long there, Solr. The new kid on the block, then Elasticsearch, also more or less, at least a bit equally. Then there was Swings, and maybe putting the other 2 store views to a SaaS solution also, maybe. So we decided to bring it a bit down. The decision between Solr and Elasticsearch, both is based on lucene. Even today, I would say it's more of a personal preference what you choose, because for pure search, and that was our main idea, both completely shine. Both are doing nearly the exact same things. Back then, it was easier to scale Elasticsearch, but I doubt there is anybody needing to scale up from one complete lucene node there you have to have so many million search requests a second that it is obscene. I cannot imagine a single shop, no, maybe one or two shops in Germany needing more than 1 or 2 nodes for scaling for such a search. And I would normally say, we use Elasticsearch because I was way more proficient with Elasticsearch. I already implemented it in 1 or 2 shops. But I had a colleague that had wonderful and really deep diving Solr experience, and I said, you have a new project, go for it. Because the rest of the solutions you already seen easily dropped out, because Sphinx we didn't have anybody with experience, and there is no API available. You have to do everything in the initial request. You cannot do some API requests with Ajax or something like that. You can do with Solr. So yeah, with the ideas we had, no, it's out of the game. The SaaS solutions, like I already mentioned a bit, the adaptability, it is adaptable, but not to every of our needs. Then it is tempting to, if it's possible, to alternate and to tune the result, not the data or your stuff in the engine, but the result. That's what we had done for 2 years, 3 years, roundabout. It can become costly if you scale it up, and the optimizations you do on top of the results or on top of your data are not transferable to any of the other solutions if you somewhere have to switch. So with Solr, we already had so we decided on, that one I missed, okay. So we decided for Solr. As I said, I had a colleague that had really wonderful experience with even with super big Solr installations. And there is we use Enterprise Edition. There is already an Enterprise Edition, a connector for Solr, but it's only working with 3.6. 3.6 is, like using PHP 5.1 maybe, so roundabout. Even the exactly same time frame, not such a good idea. It is not capable of supporting anything newer, a bad thing. So in this case, already the alternatives using a third-party module. Yeah, we decided for that. I just used the connections I've gathered in the last years to do a quick Twitter shout-out. How we need something like that. I think it was something like, we need a Solr extension working with at least Solr 5. Who can bring something up? And then a friend of mine said, yeah, we have something. It's not publicly available right now. It's in beta. You can, yeah, but it worked out of the box. Directly installed, just drop-in replacement. And because we know him, it's an open source extension. It's not free software. It's open source only, but you can extend it like you will. So that's good. That's the pros of such a module are, and that's one I'm missing, you don't have to implement everything yourself. You only have to implement your special needs. You have to adapt your attributes and so on. You can boost on a per attribute base because, in some cases the title is more relevant for a search. In some case, that is the thing you have to see depending on your searches your clients are doing or your customers are doing. Because, in our case, we have many search terms that are only numbers because we have a printout catalog, and in there are our SKU numbers. So we have to boost these accordingly because those are nowhere in the product text, so it's hard for a full text search to find. So there we had a bit magic going on, I would say, but it is working. And for us, the best thing is the good communication with those developers because we know them, and even if we do something for this, we are able to put it back upstream. So for all of those customers, for them, okay. So maybe a bit, at least it's real. Yeah, but we had the idea to use it for more than search replacement. When we first had it in place, the search had to be tuned because the data had to be tuned. That wasn't done for the last couple of years, but no problem, we said, it's possible. Right now we see it's hard, but it's possible. We said, okay, the autosuggest has to be tuned, because bringing up Magento every time you do a search request, or before a search request with some good autosuggest, maybe not the best way. So we figured out a way to work around it with a direct call to the database without anything Magento related. Then you had to have the possibility to skip something from the index, from indexing it to Solr, because maybe you want to, not have some attributes or even some products on the Solr index, because you don't want to have them returned by the search, but only, let's say, by direct linkage or something like that. If you have like freebies or so that you add on an automatic base or on a rule-based set, so that in this case, And maybe you have products that, even if the data is complete utter crap, you want to have on position 1, or at least in the first page. You have to ensure that your top seller, how bad it is maintained, is on the first page. So we introduced a per product boost in there to ensure this. And after that, we have done all this. We said, okay, now we have a bigger Solr instance. We have already so much data in Solr. Is there something more we can do with it? Because there we said, maybe it is possible. But we first came about some things, some ideas, and then I met some community members. They told me about a project that's going on, and it's called Lizards and Pumpkins, and they do something very, very interesting. They do more than, they don't do search with Solr, but they deliver real static content for every product. And so the ideas spun up, and we said, okay, we already have the category product relations in the database, because we know which product belongs to which category, so it's easy to use this data. Maybe we can also use, because we already have some of the product data in the database, in the Solr base, we can use it on the category view page, maybe. Then we can use it on the category page, on the product page, because nearly everything of these attributes and of these product data is in Solr already. Why don't we use it? Because the response times of Solr compared to the things you do with multiple joins and so on in MySQL, no, there's no comparison between that, because on the one hand we talk about 1 or 2 milliseconds in Solr until you get a complete set of product data, because you don't have to do complex joining and so on. And the last step of our ideas was, why don't we put the complete HTML of a product on a product view page, on a category page, wherever it appears, into Solr. The category product relations, we already had this data. It is indexed, it is searchable, because the display of a category is no more than a show me all products with this category ID. Well, it was easy. So we did it. We normally on this template you get a collection, and this collection was filtered by the IDs we got back from the Solr. So it was easy. It's way faster than building up the collection on the Magento side. We really could save seconds with this. And after that, we returned to the normal Magento flow. When you had a collection, a product collection with everything in it, okay, what was the first step we did? After that, we said, okay, right now, we have the product collection, but maybe we can do more. We can show the complete data out of Solr, not with a product collection where every product data is gathered from Magento, but from Solr. So therefore we had to extend our indexers, because we see not everything we had for the products is in Solr, like stock, like availability, display, like the thing like the complex product relations for upsells and for configurable and the simples and so on. That's a thing that is, in our case, wasn't in Solr until then. So we widened the indexing data, so then we said, okay, we put more data into Solr. Then we get all the data back in a JSON format and put everything into a variant collection. We choose this for the first iteration because the variant collection enables you to use the standard PHTML files more or less because they expect a variant collection. Everything, all these magic getter methods for get variable name something are there, and so you didn't have to adapt the complete template, only in small pieces. Then we said, okay, we use it, maybe we have so much product data in the database already. Well, it's not everything, but most of it. So we just used it for the product view data. We then said, okay, we have to even enlarge the thing we index to Solr, and to bring, right now we have, I think we really have all product information for a single product in Solr. Some information multiple times, depending on how we want to have them returned, but simply everything is in there. Yeah, we had to rebuild a bit of this product structure in Solr, but it's possible. You have documents and child documents in Solr. It's kind of easy if you know how to do it. Firstly, at least beside my colleague, nobody knows, and right now, at least we get a basic understanding how it's working. That's good. Yeah, and in this case, you can search for IDs. That's super fast in Solr, and you can search for all the child documents to get the variants, to get the simple products of a configurable, to get the simple products of a bundle product or such stuff, or to get the related products of some product. That's always ID, child ID, done. We return this data as a JSON object, and then we more or less mock a product model. We load a product model and do only set data with it because the product view page more or less depends on the fact that you have a product model. Many checks are done onto the product model. They things like if it is available, they invoke product model methods, and in this case it was easier for the first go to use the product model. In this situation, that's what we have live in one of our shops right now, in a more or less open beta state, I would say. It's not in our main shop because we just rolled it out a week or two ago, and in there we weren't so eager to say everything is working right now. We just wanted to use it with real clients and real customers to see if everything is working. Probably we are not at the end of the journey to improve this thing, because right now we're getting a JSON object or a JSON string and use it with the standard Magento models to fill them up. It would be easier to, no, it wouldn't be easier, but it would be even faster to bring up a complete JSON in a JavaScript template and do all the data processing in a complete new template file. But then you have to adapt everything that is displayed. Every template file has to be rewritten and so on. And that was a thing we didn't bring up in time. And we said, okay, that's the next iteration of this process we want to do. Yeah, and then we could use HTML completely direct in Solr. The benefits, because you don't have any processing, you have a call, get it, replace it, done. It's super easy to scale because you have only static data, and it's the most performance solution we could think of as of now, and probably, hopefully in the future. But the problems with it is the indexing is slower because you have to generate every single HTML. You have to generate everything the client is generating right now upfront, but only once, not for every request. So it is a trade-off that it's easy to say, okay, we do it this way. The thing is, the index gets way bigger because you have to have, for every kind of view, for every kind of customer, for every kind of dynamic piece you have right now, you have your own structure, HTML stuff in Solr for every single view, but yeah, metal is cheap, so it's only RAM or only database Solr stuff. Yeah, that's an easy thing. It's harder to get something fast and scalable fast then to store more data. After every data change of a product, you would have to rebuild at least this specific part of the index that can, if you follow the notion that there are some shops outside that import every product every night, that will be a daunting task. In our case, it is not so, but we decided, yeah, next iteration. It will be a bit harder to do. And you have to rebuild the complete HTML after every template change you do. You change something in the C, probably change something, you have to do an index, re-index of every product. So the front-end workflow gets slower. But in our case, that would be no problem because we mostly, we seldomly do HTML changes. CSS is loaded, and that's not such a big of an issue. For Magento 2, so because this is all done on Magento 1 right now, for Magento 2, the extension for Solr, for the Solr connector, is already in migration. The extension, extension developer is already migrating it or started migration of it, and the ideas on the use cases we set up with Solr in this case are transferable because the same problems exist for Magento 2. If you have static content delivered, everybody, I think most of you have used Varnish or something like full page cache. Static content is really fast. It is scalable to no end. So yeah. Okay. I think I miss a slide, but no problem. Yeah, that's. I think right now the last one was more or less a small conclusion about it. So in our case, really, it was an easy. No, it was from the idea. It was an easy way. The really fulfillment gets harder and harder and harder as we move on because the easy tasks are already done. Now comes the more specialized and a bit harder to build tasks because when we say we do a full reindex, firstly what we did was, we had a reindex that took about 48 hours for the complete Solr rebuild. Right now we optimized it a bit. We're down to, I think, 1.5 hours. So full reindexing of the data in Solr is not anymore a no-go. It's a thing we do more or less frequently, once a week or so, roughly. Until then, we had added something. I don't know if you have ever used the Enterprise Edition. They introduced new indexing methods, and they introduced change lists in the database, and we just adapted this. We write every product change we do with import or so on into this change list and have a partial indexer running over it, only pumping this data into Solr. So we can minimize the amount of data we put into Solr in one go, because the thing is, if you have data that is too old, it's maybe also bad for the customer. And if you had it something like, we took 60 hours or so to build the index, then you have data that is several days old. It's not always the best idea to have, I think, Yeah, so that is what we have done in this use case. From this point, I would say, are there any questions? I think for one or two, we probably have time. How much progress do you have in the database? 90,000. Entire reindexing for the Solr takes round about 1.5 hours for 3 store views.
About the stock, if you change stock frequently, like every 10 minutes, every half an hour, can you rebuild the Solr?
Yes and no, we don't rebuild the store, but we do price and availability of stock changes every 5 minutes, probably. And we introduce atomic indexing for only these 2 attributes, because it's way faster. Then you can change the Solr document itself without resetting the search cache in Solr. So we came around it. We had atomic indexing for these two, no, for three, for three attributes: price, special price, and stock.
And what's the load time for the page? I mean, what's the improvement with using this?
Yeah, the improvements I remember on category pages. We have category pages with roughly 30,000 products on them, and we talk about projects with up to 1,000 attributes. So we had a huge layout navigation. So those categories took about, uncached everything, about 2.5 minutes to load. With this solution, we are down to half a second, roughly. So the improvement is quite noticeable. It is not comparable because it's completely different. Because with varnish, you have to warm it up. If you have a cold varnish, you can't have any speed. So it varnishes, and full page cache is, in my perspective, for scalability, not for performance improvement. And on the other hand, the thing is, you cannot have real dynamic data, like per user stuff or so, if you use a varnish. But of course, a varnish is still, we use a varnish on top of that to have scalability. And a page with varnish, of course, is there within 100 milliseconds. It's completely there, yeah. But that's completely unrelated to the underlying thing. That is this we've done to have fast performance or high performance in cases the varnish isn't hit. Yeah, so thank you Unify, to give me this opportunity.
Yeah. Interesting topic. And from a money side, did you see something on conversion or increased sales?
Yeah, we did see conversion and sales go down in the first one because, yeah. Yeah, sorry. But it is completely related because we had way more abandonments and way more people left the shop in the search in the first place because we had a 2 years tuned search results compared to more or less non-tuned search results. So in the beginning, the search results were better than the MySQL search, but not so good as the SAS-related search results. Right now, we're I think we're in it for the search is in there for 6 months or so, and right now we are on par with the search results. So we see that the users are browsing the category pages way more. They're way more using filtering, and we have managed to shrink down the rate where the user exits on a category page and doesn't look on the product page itself anymore, because it looks like we enable the user to find the product he's not searching, but he's filtering for way faster because of faster load times. If you've seen it yourself, you click on a filter and have to wait 10 seconds, you may be doing it once, but not twice. Yeah. So in this case, it's a real bonus for us because the filtered conversions went up by many percent. I think we're talking about 8 or 9% right now, and this is only 2 weeks old that we've put it in on the non-big live shop, but on a small brand shop.
Okay, cool, interesting. Okay, last one up.